everybody, welcome to my new studio. It's not much to look at right now because I'm still working on getting it set up, but that's a video for a whole another time. I do have a video. You can kind of see my PVC rack back there in the corner. I do have a video of that, of how I did that, so if you want to check that out, I'll put the link for that. That is just my paint tube storage rack that I made out of PVC. But today we are going to be making this chandelier. Wanted to make two of these to put on above my bed in my master bedroom. So they are wall sconces. And I do want to just make a quick disclaimer. When I filmed this video, I was not ready to film in my studio. I wasn't in here yet. And so I just had to film at my table, my dining room table. And so it's kind of got this, the tripod set up. So it's kind of off to the side at a weird angle kind of thing. So most of my videos are shot straight overhead or straight on as I'm painting at my easel. And so anyways, the reason why I'm saying that is because if any of my viewers find that to be annoying, just the shot with the tripod, have no fear. I don't usually do it that way. I don't usually shoot that way. And that's just for this video. So, you know, I'm just, you know, kind of preempting any comments. Why don't you get a better setup for shooting? So if you would like to learn how to make this chandelier, then keep watching. So the first thing you will need is a light cage. You can get these at Michael's, Walmart, Home Depot, various home hardware stores. You can get them on Amazon. So just look around and find one that you like with the dimensions you like. This was black. I couldn't find a silver one, so I spray painted it with Krylon chrome metallic paint, and I'll show you that later on in the video, that paint that I used. And I just gave it 2 coats, and that worked really well. That was the kind of silver I liked. I also use diamond wrap that I got from Dollarama, so you get quite a bit for just $1 or $2. And I like this one because it shows different designs, and you can use the circle ones or you can use the squares. And for this particular project, I use the square ones there. And I just will show you the different lengths that you need to cut them. You will also need some crystal garland. These ones are acrylic. Glass ones are a lot more expensive, but they will probably be a little bit more shiny. But these work just fine, and depends what you're using it for and where you're going to have it. You may have a preference for the actual glass crystals, but the acrylic ones work really well for what I was doing. You can get quite a bit. I got this from AliExpress, and I will try to put a link for those down below. I think you can also find them on Amazon, and you may be able to find them in a dollar store near you. I also am using Chandelier Drops, so they come in various shapes. These ones I got from AliExpress. You can also get them on Amazon, and these ones are glass. These aren't acrylic, so they have a little bit more weight to them. So you can get a set of 10 or 30 or whatever, and so I just you'll need, I believe, 8 for this project. Another thing you will need is acrylic gems. I got mine from Michael's, and they had a box that had a variety of shapes, and I just took out the shapes that I wanted, and I just used a 50% off coupon. But I have since seen them at Dollarama for a box that has just one shape in it, and it was actually the shape that I wanted, but at the time all I could find was just the box with a variety of shapes. You will also need a glue gun, and I used just hot glue in this project, but E6000 is another thing that you could use, and use them both. So you would use the hot glue to just fix it on there right away, and then the E6000 makes it more permanent and more sturdy. I found that the hot glue works okay. I was just hanging it up on the wall, and then I just leave it and it's fine. But if you were fiddling with it and it's getting messed with all the time, then probably use some E6000 as well. But the E6000 is not enough to fix it in there right away. It takes a long time to dry. So the hot glue, you need that as well as the E6000 if you are using E6000. Next, you will need some embroidery hoops. I bought a set of 3 bamboo embroidery hoops from Michael's because that's pretty much the only place I have around here to get things, or Amazon. And I bought the set of 4-inch, 6-inch, and 8-inch. So with embroidery hoops, you kind of get 2 of each, which is nice. And I used the 4-inch for the top, the 6-inch for the middle, and then the bottom one has the 8-inch. And I just found that that worked well for me to put, it's a good surface to put the gems and the diamond wrap on. I also spray painted those with the Krylon Chrome Metallic paint. I like that better than the regular silver metallic. It is a lot more shiny, and the silver metallic was just kind of dull looking, so I wanted this shiny look. You can go for whatever you like, but I like the Krylon Chrome Metallic. So let's get started. I will take the 4-inch hoop, and the opening is, you want to keep track of the opening and you want it to go to the same place each level. So that is the back. So because I am putting these against the wall, they're not noticeable at all. If you are hanging this from the ceiling or somewhere where it's going to be seen from all directions, you will probably want to use a hoop that is closed all the way around, or you're going to want to snip off those metal pieces there and put some kind of wood piece in there. And then, you know, it would be kind of messy, but because you're covering it with the diamond wrap and the gems, then you would cover up any of that, you know, if you're adding little wood pieces in there or little whatever pieces, that's going to cover that up. So you don't have to worry about it looking too messy. However, I did not have to do that because this is a wall sconce and it's going against the wall, so I didn't have to worry about that. And that bottom one can be clasped. So I'm just putting the clasp in there, and it just adds a little bit more security for that one. Now to keep these hoops on there, you will want to use some hot glue, and I'm just putting them in between the wood of the bamboo hoop and the metal circle that goes around there, and just holding it in place. The middle one was the most kind of, that one had to be kind of stretched a little bit, whereas the bottom one can actually be clasped around, and the top one fit quite well. And I will say that I just used the hot glue because just for the purposes of this video, and I made this a couple days before Christmas, and it's now about 2 months later, and it's holding on just fine. Now keep in mind that I hung up these chandeliers and they haven't been touched since, so no, they don't get knocked around or anything. If you have, if yours are going to get knocked around somehow, and you're going to be fiddling with it, then you may want to use some E6000 just to secure that a little bit more. But for me, that wasn't necessary. And now for the fun part of adding the gems and the diamond wrap. So I just went by the design of the cage already, and I just lined up my gems according to the metal wires that are going down and through the circles there, and use that as my guide. And I for the diamond wrap, I cut 8 squares. I cut 18 strands of 8 squares, and I'm just using hot glue again. All right, so we are done adding the gems and the diamond drop, and now it's time to add the crystal garland. So for the top hoop, which is the smallest circle on that light cage, I used 8 strands of 17 crystals. So I just measured by crystals rather than inches or centimeters or whatever. So I counted 17 crystals, cut 8 strands of those. The middle hoop is 8 strands of 18 crystals, and the bottom hoop is 8 strands of 15 crystals. And so that's what I decided I liked, the look that I wanted, and how it would hang on the light cage. So you might like something else, but I find it easiest to just measure in the crystals, because rather than centimeters and whatever, and just count the crystals and find which ones you like. And then you're going to place them in between the hoop and the metal rim. And because these are the acrylic ones, they're threaded, so they're kind of on a string, so you need to use hot glue. The glass crystals actually have jump rings, so you would just undo that and then use some pliers and clasp it around the metal ring if you're doing the glass crystals. So what you want to do is just put a dab of glue on the end of one of your strands, and you place it in between the hoop and the metal rim there. And I just use the gems I have there as my guides. So I'm putting them in between each one, and then they will crisscross each other, and you will see that in a second. Here you can see where I placed the crystal there. It's just right in between there, and it stays really good for the most part. If they come off, just glue them again. You can also use the E6000, as I've mentioned, so put the hot glue in just like I'm showing you here, and then just add some E6000, and that will make it more permanent. So I mentioned that I use the cage form as a guide, and for the most part, and then I stagger the gems. You could put them directly underneath each other, and for the most part they line up accordingly, but they do kind of get off kilter a little bit, but honestly you don't even notice it when it's hanging up. So you can do more specific or accurate, you might want to say, measurements to make sure that they're staggered exactly how you want them. But for me, it gave me the look I wanted, and as long as the garlands hang in a crisscross pattern and they were even and they hung evenly, like you can see there, then that's what was my main concern. So I just want to be clear, what I'm doing is I'm hanging each garland from one of the metal things that go vertical, and then I'm skipping one of those, and then I'm putting it to the next one, so they go every other one, and so that way they crisscross each other. I'm not sure if I was clear about how I hung those before, and maybe you can kind of see that's obvious, but I thought I would just mention it. And the final step is to add the chandelier drops, and I just put them where the crystal garland meets, and put one on each of the bottom sections there. I didn't add any to the middle hoops or the top hoops. And all you need to do is just stick that one metal, it's got kind of like a metal part to it at the top, and I just put that through between the hoop and the rim, and I just wrap it around the rim. It bends quite easily. You can see that right there. And all I'm doing now is just adding a dot of glue where I put each one of those chandelier drops just so it'll stay in place, because otherwise it'll just slide around on that metal rim there. And yeah, and then you can add some E6000 to that as well. So here is the finished product. I am quite happy with it. I used a brace from Walmart. I wanted it to come out from the wall far enough that it would leave room for the chandelier to hang, but not so far that it was like right over my head. I still wanted it against the wall. And what I was going for was kind of like a rustic glam look. So we have wood paneling behind the bed, and then I have some fur pillows and some sequin pillows. And as you can see, I wrapped the cord, the light cord, around the brace. But if you wanted, you could hang it right from the ceiling, and that actually looks really good too. I've done that in my art studio, which I'm actually showing you here. And you can get an idea of how the different ways of hanging it looks and figure out what you like for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some good ideas for some things you might want to try in your own home with your own light fixtures. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, and also leave me a comment if you've tried any of these techniques.